You found the house of your dreams. You found a seller who is willing to sell it to you at a price that you can afford. What's your next step? Well, you've probably heard of settlement, and that is where you will become the owner of the house. Now, what occurs at settlement? The parties arrive, the sellers and the buyers. Oftentimes they're accompanied by their real estate agents and sometimes with their mortgage brokers. Everybody sits down at the table. We discuss any last minute issues that might have come up at a final inspection. Make sure that we have all outstanding bills that need to be paid and make sure they're all properly allocated. We sit down and everybody gets a settlement sheet, or what's commonly known as a HUD-1. And this sheet is the sheet with all the financial figures in the transaction. It's going to contain the purchase price. It's going to contain the seller's loan payoff. It's going to contain any allocations that were called for in your real estate contract. Generally, those allocations are real estate taxes, possible water escrows or front foot benefits. It will generally contain a escrow for the sellers to pay off their last water bill. It will also contain a number of figures related to the buyer's mortgage from their mortgage company. It will contain the broker's commissions that are payable by the sellers, the real estate broker's commissions. It will contain the title transfer fees for title searches, settlement fees, and certain other type of costs such as wire transfers and messenger delivery. And then it will contain some figures related to transfer tax, which are required to be paid in order to get the deed properly transferred to the buyer. Once we get through that settlement sheet and all the figures are approved by both parties, we then move on and actually do the transfer. That is when the seller will sign over his rights, titles, and interests to the property by signing a deed. That deed will be made to the buyer, and the buyer will then become the legal owner of the property. The seller generally has a very short stack of papers to sign because they're not taking out a mortgage. Most buyers will generally need financing to accomplish their purchase of the property. And in that financing, they're going to sign a large number of documents that are designated by the bank. And the primary documents that you're going to be signing for the bank include a note, which is your promissory note to pay off the loan, and a deed of trust. And that's the document that will be filed in the Office of Land Records to let the world know that the bank has an interest in your property. Once the buyer gets done signing those documents, the settlement is complete. The buyer takes keys from the seller, and it's time to move in.